Hey gang, I got an offer for you today from LinkedIn. As business to business marketers, your needs are unique. B2B buying cycles are long and your customers face incredibly complex decisions. Isn't it time you had a marketing platform built specifically for you? LinkedIn ads empower marketers with solutions for you and your customers. LinkedIn ads allow you to build the right relationships, drive results, and reach your customers in a respectful environment. On LinkedIn, you have direct access to build relationships with decision makers. Of the 875 million users on the network, 180 million are senior level executives. 10 million are C-level executives. You will also be able to drive results with targeting and measuring with their tools built specifically for B2B. And best of all, they work. Audiences exposed to brand messages on LinkedIn are 6 times more likely to convert. LinkedIn ads also rank #1 for security, community, and ad experience as part of the Business Insider's Digital Trust Study. Make B2B marketing everything it can be and get a $100 credit. It's a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. It's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply.
When literally it was taken away almost at the drop of a hat, right? With the acquisition. And I was like, I never want to be in that situation again. Like, I never want to be in that situation again. I said, the only person that I want to be accountable to, the only person that I want to depend on is me. And I have the skills to be able to do that. And I don't, and I want to do that. You know what I mean?
Entrepreneurs Enigma is a podcast for the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. So the wins and the fails that we all face being entrepreneurs, how we learn from adversity. Every week I talk to a different entrepreneur with a story to tell. I'm Seth Goldstein. Come with me on the journey. This is Entrepreneurs Enigma. Let's get started. Welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneurs Enigma podcast. We are rounding out this season with a good friend of mine, Danny Delveccio, Coach D. He is an Instagram, he's a sales coach in general who specializes in selling on Instagram. Did you know you could sell on Instagram? I didn't know that until I met Dan. and guess what? It works. It actually freaking works. And that's what, and then it amazes me. Like, I'm still working towards the point where I have the gonads to sell on Instagram. I can do it on LinkedIn, I can do it on Twitter, I can do it on everything else, but Instagram's so like, really? You could sell on Instagram? I guess I figured when I'll introduce Dan in a second, I guess I realized you could do it if you're selling like apparel and stuff like that kind of sales. I'm talking about traditional sales, like you're a consultant. You're not selling a physical product. You can sell on Instagram. So, and Dan is a consummate entrepreneur. He launched his practice late last year.
Yeah, it's only been a few months.
But he's got his little cohort going there. Wasn't it like within like a week, because we were in the same Travis Brown accelerator, and it wasn't like within like 3 days of like announcing you got 2 clients. Wasn't something like insane like that? It was just like,
yeah, I got 2 clients pretty fast. I got 2 one-on-one
it was
coaching clients
insane.
really fast. In the first, like, I mean, I had them lined up like before I even opened the business, basically.
Yeah, but it's the boyish good looks and the knowledge and like the big head and
It's
all
the
that stuff.
backwards hat.
This guy knows his stuff.
It's
It's a backward
yeah,
hat.
that's
Yeah.
what it is.
And that's the thing, and it also goes back to branding a little bit when you think about it. Like, Danny has a look, and he's not a jacket and tie guy. He's a backward hat and hoodie guy.
Mm-hmm.
And but the thing, it's interesting because you know what? It works. It makes him approachable. Then what comes out of his mouth is so eloquent and down to earth and actionable right away, which blows my mind right away because it's like, okay, he comes across and when you first see him, you're like, all right, this guy's gonna start doing a reel where he's doing a backflip or something. No, he comes out, he might do a backflip, but then he'll throw some, knowledge bombs at you as he's doing the backflip. I don't think he'll do a backflip,
No,
but
I'm not capable. I'm not capable of backflips. I am capable of knowledge bombs, though.
knowledge bombs. Oh my god, if you don't, and you're Coach D sales. So Coach D is in Danny.
Correct.
Sales is in selling.
Correct.
How did you get started in sales? Like, tell us your origin story.
Yeah, sure. So, I got started in sales in retail. I was in college, and I was not a good student.
You don't have to
I was a
be.
good student when I was a kid, like in middle school and like in the beginning of high school, and then then that kind of fell off. But so I was in college. I got a job. I was working at Radio Shack. I was
Oh, I loved Radio Shack. You could find anything. Towards the end, you couldn't find anything there, but in the beginning, it was like, "Oh my god, you could find any widget or gadget there."
Yeah, so I was a sales rep in Radio Shack, and I was doing that for less than a year or something like that while I was going to school. And they came to me from Radio Shack and they said, "Hey, do you want to be an assistant manager?" And I said,
Ooh.
"Yeah, sure." I'm like, "Am I going to make more money?" Yes, I want to be an assistant manager, right? So they're like, "All right, there's this class, and you come and you take this class, and then at the end of it, when we have a position available, we put you as an assistant manager at one of our locations." Got it. Okay. So I go to the class. It's week 2, and they say, "We have a store for you."
A
A
store. Wow,
store. It was
okay.
like, "We're not going to be an assistant manager. We have a store. We're going to make you the store manager."
Oh, wow, that's an
I
upgrade.
said, "Oh, okay." You know what I mean? I'm a young guy, right? So I'm like, "This is great. I'm moving up in the world quickly." And it was the worst. Can I curse on here or no?
You can do whatever the
Yes,
hell
it was
you
the
want.
worst piece of shit store in all of Long Island.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
yeah, horrible. Like it was the least traffic. It was like the worst staff, the most headaches. Like it was a nightmare.
Oh,
I worked like
no.
open to close every day for like 7 days a week. It was
Ugh.
so bad. But I paid my dues. I went to work at AT&T. I worked in AT&T store,
Mhm.
and selling mobile phones, iPhones was I was there
Yeah,
for.
you'd be surprised, like, people look at that and they're like, "Oh, that's just a retail job." That's a hard job to do. Like, you have to know the ins and outs of these phones, and you have to be able to sell them to people that have no idea what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, and this was the beginning of smartphones. Like I think I was there. I wasn't there for the first iPhone launch when it was like $1,000 and nobody bought it. Like I was there for the next one.
Yeah, when people knew what it
Yeah,
was,
when
yeah.
like at the iPhone 3 when they made it a little bit more, or the iPhone 3G or whatever when they made it like a little bit more accessible. So I worked as a sales rep for a year. I worked as a store manager for a year, and then I went to B2B sales for AT&T. So I
Yes.
did like 4 years of B2B sales for AT&T, selling to small and medium sized businesses,
Mhm.
and but selling everything now, like not just the mobile phones. Now I was selling internet, I was selling voice over IP, I was selling
Oh,
like the
that's
full
fun. Yeah.
technology suite like that AT&T had to offer, right? Like advanced
Yeah.
mobile applications. It was great. I did that for a little while, and then I got the opportunity to join this company called Spring Communications. And Spring
Hmm.
Communications was an AT&T dealer. So basically, what they
Okay.
owned when I signed on with them, they owned about 500 AT&T stores across the entire
Oh, wow,
country.
that's all.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
were
well, that's a
big. They were
lot,
big.
yeah.
But when I signed on to them, I signed on as one of the first B2B sales reps that they had. They were just starting a brand new B2B sales team.
Oh, wow.
So basically, within 3 months of getting to this company, they grew from 500 stores to 1,200 stores, by the way, because they were just acquiring stores. They started with 2 and they just kept acquisitions. And the company was
Mhm.
actually owned by GameStop at the time. So after 3 months, I got promoted to a sales manager, and we built a team. We started with 8 people, and we grew it from 8 people to 150 in 3 years. It was really like me and like 2 other guys that kind of led this whole thing. Like we didn't have a lot of
Mm.
resources. The company had just acquired like 1 million stores, so they were not putting a lot of resources to the B2B team. So we did everything. We built the sales program. We did all the hiring and recruiting. We did the training. We did all the sales content, and
Oh,
we
wow.
provided all the tools to the sales reps. It was literally building something from the ground up with really a very limited amount of resources, and it was awesome, man. Like I was running around a lot. The last like year or so, they did start to give us more resources because we were producing a
So, hey, this
significant
they're
amount of
actually
money.
doing something that yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
like we were making more money than like some of their big stores. So um, we started, like I said, I started going all over the country. So I had a team in North Carolina. I had a manager. I was going down to Atlanta. I was going to Florida. I was going to up in Boston, New England
Mhm.
area, and Tennessee and Texas, and I was all over the country. And it was
Wow.
great. It was hard. Like it was hard on like family wise because I was doing a lot of travel and my son
Yeah.
was young. And but anyway, the company got acquired, and after the acquisition, the new company kind of was like not all in on the business team, so they kind of shut it
Mm.
down. And I ended up like trying to go to this other company that was started by so many guys that I worked with over there. And it just didn't really work out for me. And I got recruited to go into, a different sales role, but back to like being like an individual contributor. Like I wasn't a sales leader anymore. I wasn't training. I wasn't coaching.
That's a little bit of a jolt.
So
Yeah.
it was tough. And I got this job right as COVID hit. Yeah. So I literally started in March. Right?
Oh God.
Yeah. But anyway,
It's hard to believe we've been in it for 2 years. So like when people say it was when COVID started, I'm like, oh okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's been 2
It's
years.
been 2 years. Yeah. So I've been at this company like about 2 years now.
We're gonna take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and get right back to the show.
Hey there, it's Jason Falls. If your company or maybe one of your clients sells to marketers, you look for advertising channels that guarantee business marketers are paying attention, right? Let me introduce you to the Marketing Podcast Network. You're listening to it right now. It's a network of podcasts all about marketing. So 100% of MPN's audience are marketers. Reach them by advertising on the Marketing Podcast Network. Learn more and find our media kit at marketingpodcasts.net.
But basically, like during the pandemic, I wanted to start a podcast because I really had done podcasting before. For very successful, I had this crazy successful podcast about impractical jokers that had like 350,000 downloads, had an amazing audience that I can't even fathom like that I even had this type of audience, and I didn't even realize what I had at the time, right? And I walked away from it because my co-host quit, and I had just got promoted at work, and I started doing traveling. I couldn't keep up with it, so I let it go. But anyway, so I wanted to get back into podcasting. So I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I had this idea that I wanted to do this podcast, and it just went in a direction that I never intended it to go, and I just got like super frustrated with it, right? And again, my thought process behind the podcast was also to use it as a side hustle kind of thing in addition to
Absolutely. So a lot of people need to do it. If they don't do it already, need to do it as a side hustle. Like I work for myself, and this is my side hustle.
Right.
And I have a side hustle to my hustle.
Right.
Let that sink in.
Yeah. So it's a double hustle.
There you go. It's a double hustle. I think I have like a quadruple hustle. Honestly, I'm always up to.
I feel like and a lot of people are like that, right? So I start learning about how to monetize podcasts, right? So I start doing the research and learning about the podcasting space and other ways outside of sponsorship to monetize. And that's where I start learning about course creating and coaching and, kind of using your audience that you've built on your podcast or your platform and figuring out how to sell to that audience. But what happened with my podcast was that it turned into a parenting podcast. And it was like, wait, hold on a second. So if I do try to monetize this thing, you're telling me that I'm going to be coaching people on parenting.
And you think back, you're like, I'm good. I'm not that good.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to tell people how to parent at all. Like that's just not like
as an individual, that's their choice on how to parent.
It's
a whole can of worms.
I'm not qualified for that. I mean, anybody that has a kid is qualified for that, but
but there's people that are more qualified that actually have educated. That's something you actually really have to have, like a master's in something.
Like child psychology or something. And I'm just like, no, I can't do this. So now I'm like super frustrated. I don't know what the hell I want to do, and I just changed jobs. So I started to like create this Instagram account around this job that I had. And, just put up a post like here and there, just to kind of have a little bit of a presence. And it wasn't really going anywhere.
Typical millennial.
Yeah, it wasn't really going anywhere. And at this point, I was so frustrated with the podcast, and I had joined a podcast mastermind group, which is where we met. And the coach in this mastermind group, Travis, I showed him
brilliant guy,
this other Instagram account. And he goes, I didn't even know that there was this business version of Danny, And I started to kind of lean into that. And I dropped the podcast. I turned it into a live series, which
I've been on. And
it's called Small Biz Savvy Live, where basically I just talk to anybody who has value to bring to the small business community and ask them to share their expertise with the small business community. That's it. I'm a big small business guy. So I started this on Instagram, and then I started saying, well, you know what? I have been coaching and training salespeople for many years. And now I'm back in this individual contributor role, and I don't get to do that anymore, which was my favorite part of what I did.
Yeah, it's developing people and making them successful, which makes you feel good, which makes you successful and all that stuff.
Correct. Now, like again, as an individual contributor, you're helping people, right? Because you're helping clients, you're helping businesses
You're
transform.
B more B2C, you're more B2 person versus B2 your team.
Correct. So I
Yeah.
wanted the opportunity to, work with people and help people get to a goal and help them achieve results, right? And I started putting it out there and started gearing my content towards that. I invested in learning how to create better content.
And you've done a good job of that.
Yeah,
Yes, you've done it very I've seen it evolve. And I've tried to emulate it, not nearly as well, but Danny has an eye for design too, which I don't think he gives himself enough credit for. He's got his design down, but he's got an eye for you've got a knack for design, which most salespeople don't.
yeah.
They
I
rely on the
studied
marketing
graphic
department.
design
Oh,
for a couple
they're
for like 1 year. I did for school. I took graphic design courses.
yeah, that kind of shows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I mean, like I was always artistic as a kid too. Like I loved to draw as a kid.
You have a right brain, which is
Yeah, for sure. So I invested in learning how to use the Instagram platform and create
mhm.
content and do all these things, right? And when I went back into the individual contributor role, this is also where this kind of plays in, is that I started helping my
Yeah.
team sell and everything like that, but I hadn't been like face to face with clients. So
You see a little rusty,
I was like,
yeah.
you know what? I gotta see what's going on, right? And this is like where I
Mhm.
go back here, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm missing out. Like, there's social media and there's video, and I'm like, holy shit. So now I start doing a lot of learning on how to incorporate video into your sales process, how to incorporate social media into your sales process, and I started making videos myself on LinkedIn. So that's
Mhm.
how I got comfortable doing video and getting on camera, was because I would do videos on LinkedIn, just quick 1 minute type
Yeah.
things about my service that I was offering, and so that's
So how did this go from you doing the individual sales lead thing to being deciding, hey, I want to go coach and I want to go use like you just said you went to LinkedIn to start doing videos. Logical step for B2B salespeople, go to LinkedIn, do it there. What made you think that there's a possibility that it could be good on Instagram for, I mean, like B2B sales?
right.
You're teaching other people how to sell, you're not business to consumer, and that's what Instagram mainly is B2C. What made you realize that like shouldn't be on LinkedIn as much? And I mean, I'm sure you still dabble there, and like you're not like,
So I use
but your sweet spot is
Yeah,
Instagram.
so like I sort of have it separated, and at some point it's going to not be separated, right? My LinkedIn like is for me to target people for my
You're
regular
nine to
job,
five.
right?
Yeah.
And my Instagram is for me to target people for my side hustle, right? It's interesting, right? Because what I feel like, because I have to represent my company on
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn, I can't portray myself. I have to, I can't like
You have to
I
keep
have to
things separate right
I
now
have to
because it's a side
portray
hustle.
their
Yeah.
brand also. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah, it's a little bit more complex. No, I totally get
Right.
it.
So I can't show up on LinkedIn in a backwards hat and a hoodie and give stories and tips like I could do on Instagram, right? Because
At least not yet.
right,
Yeah.
right, at least not yet. Right.
It's also good though when you think about it, it's a good thing because you have like a lot of entrepreneurs like jump into the entrepreneurship and they don't have the main hustle. They don't have the 9 to 5 to pay the bills. I mean, you have 2 kids,
I
right?
do. Yeah.
And a wife and a house and a mortgage, and you're able to kind of keep the money flowing while you're building up your side hustle that might one day become a full hustle. And I mean, you're lucky that way that, like one of my questions I always ask is, what's the scariest thing about being an entrepreneur? And one of the biggest things they say is like not knowing when the next paycheck's coming from. And what's the best thing about being an entrepreneur is always like the flexibility and the freedom, and I'm sure how's that play into it? You are a entrepreneur over at the business because you have to be when you're in sales, is being an entrepreneur.
Sure.
What is the best thing about being an entrepreneur, even if it is a side hustle to you?
I don't have to represent somebody else's brand. It's only
Hmm.
my brand. It's me. It's my personal brand, and
Your
I am
backwards hat.
only accountable to myself too. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm only accountable to myself. Like I don't have to be accountable to anybody else. Like I don't need to be micromanaged or anything like that. Not that I'm being
Hmm.
micromanaged right now or anything, but when that whole thing happened where I was on a trajectory that was going really well, you know what I mean? Like I got
Yeah.
promoted quickly. I got promoted again to director. I was on a path, and I never thought that I was going to get off that path. I was very happy.
Yeah.
I had
Going.
great
Yeah.
mentors. I had great peers. I've built, and
Mm-hmm.
because the company was nationwide, I've got, I can go to any state in the country and know people, and because I've built this
Mm-hmm.
amazing network through this job. But then when literally it was taken away almost at the drop of a hat, right, with the
Yeah.
acquisition, and I was like, I never want to be in that situation again. Like, I never want to be in that
Mm-hmm.
situation again. I said, the only person that I want to be accountable to, the only person that I want to depend on is
Mm-hmm.
me. And I have the skills to be able to do that. And I don't, and I
Absolutely.
want to do that. You know what I mean? So, right now, I enjoy the job that I'm doing. I'm definitely helping
Yeah.
people out. I sell outsourced HR services and payroll.
Yeah.
So, like,
That's
I'm
needed.
helping people with all kinds of, getting all kinds of loans and,
And
from the
people.
government
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So, like, I'm helping businesses like get money, which is nice.
Yeah.
And like I said, I do enjoy that, but I am very much enjoying being one, creating content. I love to create
Mm-hmm.
content, right? It's
If
a
you follow Danny, you can see that it comes through that you love
Yeah,
it.
it's a podcast. As a podcaster, I still get to do interviews. I still get to. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
did a live yesterday with Tyler Archer, who's a well-known sales coach on Instagram,
Yeah.
and we just were answering people's sales questions for an hour.
Instagram Live, if
Amazing.
people know to go here, go to Danny's profile, follow Danny, and they know they can get some business advice on Instagram. Like you just, and that's me, mind blowing. Man, like I never thought of Instagram that way until I met Danny.
So
You've literally blown my mind.
yeah, so here's how you look at Instagram, right? And for anybody
Mm-hmm.
that is interested in potentially looking at Instagram as a place to get business from, is
Mm-hmm.
there are 200 million people on Instagram that hit at least one business profile every day.
Yeah.
90% of the 1.5 billion people that are on Instagram follow businesses. So at
Mm-hmm.
least one business, right? For a
Yeah.
billion people, right? So you can do business with people all over the world. If you have a service-based business, or a coaching,
Mm-hmm.
consulting type of business, you can do business with people all over the world on Instagram, and the platform is extremely interactive.
It is. It's so much better than the parent company, in my opinion. It's mind blowing how they're related, but they're not. Like it's just like I love Instagram, and I feel dirty saying that I like Instagram because it's owned by Meta, but it's different.
Yeah, I mean, I very rarely go on Facebook. Like, I sometimes I want to go to support somebody in a group.
But so Danny, here's a question I always ask people, and it's from our friend Travis Brown. It's from his pod deck, his interview deck. So we're gonna highlight because Travis is known as pod decks originally. What is the most important thing to carry with you all the time?
What is the most important thing to carry with you all the time? Oh God, I would like. I mean,
I love this
it's my
question.
phone.
It sits on my
Like,
desk
I
all
like.
day long. So I'm like, this is my favorite question. I don't touch any. I have all his decks. I have his app. I don't touch. I even made a deck for him. I don't touch any of them. This is the only card I pull out, and it's the most brilliant card, Travis. I'm saying that to Travis, who's going to hopefully listen to this. I love this card. So, what is the most important thing to carry with you all the time? Now, it can be metaphysical, or it could be physical, or it could be both. Like I've asked this a bunch of times, and I've heard all wacky things. It's been amazing. So no pressure.
I know, and I'm delaying. I'm hesitating because I almost hate my answer, which is my
Uh oh,
phone. It's my phone because it's everything that you could possibly need in one device. Like,
it is.
anytime I want to get a piece of information, boom. I want to take a picture, boom. Like I
It's
if you
brilliant.
leave your house without your phone, like you're fine. Like,
You feel
you feel like
naked.
you're
You
fine. Like,
actually feel naked. Like I can't survive without
oh,
this thing. It's scary.
every time I
Yeah,
go into a store to pay for something, I pay with my phone. Like,
I
I don't,
know.
like, I have a wallet. I barely even carry my wallet anymore.
You don't
Everything.
have to if you forget your wallet. It's like okay, I have my phone.
Whole life is
Yeah.
in your phone. So it's like, and it's like he said, you almost hate that answer because you're just so, like, tied to
Mm-hmm.
the phone all the time. And especially, like, when your business is on your phone too, right? So, like, again, like,
Yeah.
Instagram is my business. So, like, everything that growing on Instagram is bring it
Danny,
back.
how can people get in touch with you if they want to pick your brain about selling on Instagram, sales in general? What kind of hat to wear backwards? like all that stuff, where can people find you? Where's the best place to reach out to Danny Delveccio?
Instagram. It's Instagram. I'm at Coach D Sales, Coach D Sales on Instagram, and or you can come to my website, which is CoachDannyD.com.
Thank you, Danny. You are flipping awesome.
I appreciate that. Thank you for the glowing endorsement right there. I do appreciate it. Thanks for having me. It was fun.
That was a great show. Hey, if you're enjoying Entrepreneurs Enigma, please give us a review on the podcast directory of your choice. We're on all of them. And these reviews really help others find the show. Also, if you're getting value from the show and want to buy me a coffee, go to the show notes and click on the link to help me stay awake while I bring you more great episodes to your ears. That's in the show notes, and I look forward to the next episode. Take care, guys. Goldstein Media hopes you have enjoyed this episode.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Dave Delaney hosts a great podcast called The Nice Podcast. Dave, tell us what these fine folks will get out of listening.
Thanks for asking. The Nice Podcast is all about helping leaders improve the way they communicate with their team members, with their prospects, with their colleagues, everybody. So that's what it's all about.
Amazing. Where can people subscribe?
The places that you subscribe to podcasts normally. But you can also find the show at marketingpodcast.net, of course. And you can also visit nicepodcast.co.
You heard him, folks. Go subscribe.
This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.